he gets a pass.
It's kind of one of those things, well, as long as I did it, it's okay.
Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, February 24th, 2025 Hubbard County Planning Commission Board of Adjustment meeting. Start off by reading the Hubbard County Planning Commission Board of Adjustment meeting procedure. All persons in attendance at the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment meetings are expected to comply with the following meeting procedures. Thank you in advance for helping make this manageable meeting. Copies of agenda item materials are available for public viewing on the table located at the back of the meeting room. These materials are not to leave the table, so others in attendance may also view them. Please turn phones to vibrate off during the meeting and conduct any sidebar conversations outside the meeting room. Interruptions or other interference with orderly conduct of the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment meeting will not be allowed. Defamatory or abusive remarks are always out of order. Disrupted persons will be removed from the meeting. The chair may terminate speaker's privilege of address if, after being called to order, the speaker persists in improper conduct or remarks. Written materials concerning agenda items must be submitted to the Environmental Services Department by 3:30 p.m. on the Wednesday immediately prior to the meeting date. Written materials will not be accepted after this deadline or at the meeting because the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment will not have sufficient time to review them prior to the meeting. Such materials must state the agenda item for which it is being submitted and the name and address of the submitting party. Planning Commission business is conducted first, followed by Board of Adjustment business. The chair will call the meeting to order and explain the meeting procedure. The chair will read each agenda item into the record and ask the applicants to come forward to the presenters table, state his, her, or their names, addresses for the record, and explain their request. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment will discuss the agenda items with the applicant. The chair will then ask for public comment on the agenda item. To facilitate an orderly, efficient meeting, there is a 3-minute speaking time limit per speaker per agenda item unless the chair allows the speaker additional time. The chair may terminate the speaker's privilege of address if, after being called to order, the speaker persists in improper conduct or remarks. When the chair recognizes a speaker, she or he may approach the audience podium and microphone, state his or her full name and address for the record, and write such on the speaker log, and then share his or her comments. The audience podium microphone must be used by the recognized speaker because the meeting is recorded. A member of the public may not donate his or her speaking time to another speaker. A speaker should state his or her comments and address the issue, not the applicant. All comments are to be directed towards the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment. Please do not repeat comments already made by previous speakers. The chair reserves the right to ask a group with similar comments to appoint a spokesperson. If written comments have been submitted to the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment, please do not read them out aloud in the meeting as they are already part of the record and copies thereof have been given to the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment. After everyone wanting to speak on the agenda item has done so, the chair will close public comment period on the agenda item. No further public comment will be taken after this point. Chair will give the applicant an opportunity to address issues raised during public comment. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment will then continue discussion on the agenda item and chair will entertain a motion on it. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment may make a motion to pass, deny, or table the item. Once a motion is made and seconded, the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment will develop findings of fact for conditional use permit and variance applications and then vote on the motion. Once a vote is taken on the agenda item, the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment will move on to the next agenda item. Meetings commence at 6 p.m. and continue until all agenda items have been heard or until 10 p.m. No new agenda items shall be considered after 9:45 p.m. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment may at its discretion continue an item that is on the floor at 10 p.m. Any remaining agenda items shall be continued to another date, time, preferably the immediately following Tuesday at 6 p.m., and no further public notice will be provided for such a meeting continuation. The Planning Commission Board of Adjustment through the chair may modify these procedures prior to a meeting or an agenda item. With that, we will begin with the Planning Commission. There's no minutes from last meeting to approve, so we'll go right to old business. Conditional use application 1-CU-23 by Woodson Property Group LLC. The west half of Lot 5 and all of lots 6 through 14, Block 4, Highland Park, Section 9, Township 140, Range 33, Nevis Township on Lake Belle, Taine, a recreational development lake. Parcels 21.40.02700 and 21.40.04920. Applicant is requesting a conditional use permit per section 401, table 1 of the Shoreline Management Ordinance to operate a restaurant use. If anyone's here for the Woodson Group, please come forward. It appears no one's here. This particular agenda item is in a continuation, was last continued or considered on August 28th, 23. At that meeting, and afterwards, we requested some specific items from this group, and over the last year plus, we have had no information. Follow-ups were sent to the group, and with that, it's on the agenda tonight, and to me, it looks like a fairly straightforward, because they did not provide any of the information that we've required to move on this. It looks like it's time to act on it and deny this, or recommend a denial to the County Board of Commissioners. Any thoughts from others on the board?
Any public comment?
I'll do that.
This is Veronica speaking. I'm in agreement with you. I know with this item being publicized, we do have to have the public comment as well, and so maybe we can limit that at this time too.
Okay, with that, open for public comment. No public comment. I'll close public comment. Anything else?
Yeah, this is Tim speaking. I remember specifically needing some information to make a decision about this. Their fixtures, what kind of business they were gonna run, because what the Department of Labor and Industry of Minnesota requires for a full kitchen would have filled up that existing building really quick. And so without that information, I couldn't make a decision of if they could use the existing building. So I would be in favor of denying it also.
And this is Veronica speaking. We also had the item of the impervious surface, that they were over impervious surface as well, so.
That, is anyone ready to make a motion?
This is Veronica speaking. I'm happy to make the motion that we recommend denial to the Hubbard County Board of Commissioners and adopt the staff's findings of facts.
This is Tim. I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Veronica, a second by Tim, in accepting the staff's findings of fact to recommend to the county commissioners that the conditional use application be denied. Tim, how do you vote?
This is Tim. I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Veronica, how do you vote?
Veronica, I vote aye.
Larry, how do you vote?
This is Larry, I vote aye.
This is Mike, I vote aye. The motion carries. We'll now move on to the next item. Continuous use application 1-CU-25 by Mississippi Headwaters Audubon Society, Government Lot 3, Section 14, Township 145, Range 34, Rockwood Township on Spearhead Lake, a natural environmental lake, parcel 22.14.10001. Applicant is requesting a conditional use permit per section 401, Table 1 of the Shoreline Management Ordinance to operate a semi-public use. Representative, if you please come forward and state your name and address for the record, and then give us a brief description of what you're asking for.
Sure. My name is Peter Bissler. My address is 196 Woodmark Drive Southwest in Bemidji, Minnesota. I'm the board president of the Mississippi Headwaters Audubon Society. It's a small volunteer-run nonprofit here in central Minnesota. We own and manage the Nielsen Spearhead Center, which is a 466-acre nature preserve in Rockwood Township, completely surrounding Spearhead Lake, which is a 189-acre natural environment lake. The property has old-growth pines, hardwood forests, bogs, wetlands, nesting bald eagles, loons, bears, whatever you can imagine you find in a typical Northwoods setting. That's what we're trying to preserve and protect out there. For facilities, we have over 5 miles of trails. We have a rustic classroom building and a caretaker's residence. The lakeshore is completely undeveloped other than that headquarters area. Our mission is really about connecting people with nature. And for the past 40 years, we have hosted a popular summer outdoor day camp called the Young Naturalist Program, where kids get a hand-on nature experience at Spearhead. Over that time, the program has reached probably 3,000 area youth and their families. We also host school groups, other kinds of youth groups, and all who want to generally come out and hike our trails, paddle the lake, and participate in our nature programs. We're requesting the conditional use classification on that headquarters area in Government Lot 3 to be changed from nature area to semi-public use. As I said, the entire property is undeveloped except for the buildings in that Government Lot 3, which serve as headquarters for the preserve. Last spring, we came to the county board with a request to construct a tent cabin in that area to house one of our 2 summer seasonal naturalists. We'd like to do the same kind of thing for our second naturalist, but under the nature area classification, that limits us to 1 primary residence and a guest cottage on the lot. Our management goal is to protect the lake and the surrounding natural forests and wetlands for education and nature observation and research, and to keep as small of a developed area as possible to manage the property. After several discussions with Eric, we decided that requesting the county for a change in use designation on this one part of the property to semi-public would be potentially a reasonable approach to our situation. This is certainly more consistent with the existing and the planned development on that parcel. There's sufficient buildable area to accommodate the anticipated development. Co-locating these facilities minimizes development of any additional infrastructure and roads and septic systems and those kind of things. It just fits the mission of what we have for the area. So we're just looking for an opportunity and a way to do that in as consistent a way as possible. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Hopefully, most of them were addressed in the materials that you received from us.
Thank you. Any initial comments or questions from the board?
This is Ken, not so much a comment. My understanding is this conditional use permit is for converting Government Lot 3 to a semi-public lot and approving the current existing buildings plus 1 additional tent site.
Yes,
That's the essence of this whole conditional use permit.
that's what we're asking for, correct. And the rest of the property would remain nature area classification.
Okay, with that, go ahead, Tim.
This is Tim speaking. What are the water use fixtures in the lab building?
The water use fixtures, we have plumbing in it, so there is
And what are they?
There is a sink, and there is a bathroom with a toilet and a shower. That's the extent of it. There also is an outside tub that the Young Naturalist Program uses. Tub meaning just a standalone tub for various different activities that they may have.
Okay. So the naturalists use the shower then, and the
Yes,
people that use that?
we discovered 2 years ago, when we lost a 20-year naturalist who had run the programs, who lived in the area, that to attract seasonal naturalists into the area, they're coming from somewhere and they need a place to stay. And so we thought that this would be the lowest impact way of doing it, provide this tent structure for them and use the existing bathroom facilities for them.
Okay, thank you.
With that, I'm going to open for public comment. Yes, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and write it on the log.
Well, that might be a little bit difficult, but anyway. I'm Steve Altman, supervisor for Rockwood Township. Just have a couple of questions. Last year, when we gave you your conditional use permit, we gave you that permit with the understanding you were going to build 3 yurts in there. You only built 1?
Correct, because when we came to the county for the land use permit, only one was able to be permitted at that time with the use classification that we had.
Well, the township,
Okay.
oh, sorry.
I'm just going to remind you that you need to address the board. and
Oh,
then-
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
Oh, I forgot, my address is 16496 County 9, and it's Bemidji. Well, then, the board has the okay, it's kind of complicated. The township has an agreement with Spearhead, with anything going on there, they have to approach us to get approval. So the township has given them approval to build 3 yurts. So if they're building another one, they're gonna do it over time. My only other question is the property that they're talking about utilizing, is that still gonna be considered tax exempt from not having to pay taxes on the shoreline?
I believe the answer to that is yes, it's still, that does not change the ownership or tax status of the property. And the reason they're coming to this board beyond the township is because it affects the shoreland, and the shoreland ordinance kicks in, and that's where the conditional use permit from the county needs to be. And this board then would make a recommendation to the county board, the county commissioners, on what we feel is the way to go.
Okay.
And I could add that I think he thinks they've approved 3. The shoreline management ordinance would allow them the 1 residence plus 1 guest cabin, which they now have. In order to have a second one, it has to be approved. He has to change classification and then allow them to build a second one.
Right. That's all based on the shoreline management ordinance.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have questions about.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions from the board? I will bring up one thing did come to light today that I believe Peter found in this court system someplace. There is an actual established cartway on the property where in the past, where we were to believe up until then that it was just the main entrance road, but it has actually been identified. So there is a cartway if that was a concern to anyone, that there is legal access to the property. From my standpoint, it looks very straightforward. We do have a number of conditions that we would recommend for the CUP. And is the Headwaters board okay with that?
Yes.
You want to read the conditions?
Well, we can do that as part of the motion if
Okay,
anybody's
yeah,
ready.
okay.
This time I'll close public comment. Okay, I'll make the motion that we recommend to the county board that this CUP be approved with the following conditions. The conditional use permit is for the operation of the entire premises, Government Lot 3, Section 14, Township 145 North, Range 34 West, as one semi-public use venture. As such, any land that through subdivision or addition to the property to which the CUP is granted is added or subtracted is or not granted are allowed the right to operate in accordance with the CUP without first applying for and obtaining the necessary CUP from the county. This CUP authorizes only the following improvements to be located on the property as described in the CUP application and shown and labeled on the CUP application site plan sketch 1, garage, 2, earth berms residence, 3, the Lehman Lab Education Building, 4, a shed, and 5, 2 tent cabin sites. Number 3, any change involving structure alterations, enlargements, intensification of use, or similar change not specifically permitted by the conditional use permit issue shall require an amended conditional use permit, and all procedures shall apply as if a new permit was being issued. For the sole allowed driveway access road in the property is the existing driveway labeled NSC entrance road as shown on the application site plan titled Nilsson Spearhead Center Trail System. And in addition to that, the identified cartway, that is a matter of record on the deeds, I believe. 5, the use allowed under this conditional use permit must legally commence by attaining an operating permit within 2 years of the date this conditional use was approved, or the conditional use permit shall automatically be deemed null and void, and accept the staff's findings of fact.
This is Ken, I'll second it.
We have a motion by myself, Mike, and a second by Ken to recommend to the county board that this application 1-CU-25 by the Mississippi Headwaters Audubon Society be approved with the conditions that and staff findings of fact. We had a second by Ken.
Does Peter agree on the behalf of the organization that those 5 conditions are acceptable?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Okay.
Excuse me, Chair?
Yes.
I have one question. I didn't notice it in the paperwork, but was there a required compliance inspection for the outhouse?
We weren't aware of an outhouse, so we do not have a compliance inspection on it.
Okay. Should it have one? So that should be added as a condition to get a compliance inspection for the outhouse.
Yeah, I'm.
If it doesn't pass, it could be used for tools or anything.
Sure.
Okay, we'll add that as a condition. A motion and second with conditions. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is,
Oh, no, we don't.
Are we adopting the,
Yeah, I said we adopted the staff findings of fact.
okay, thank you.
okay. This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Veronica, how do you vote?
Veronica, I vote aye.
Larry, how do you vote?
This is Larry, I vote aye.
This is Mike, I vote aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the Board of Adjustment and the approval of minutes from the January 27th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the January 27, 2025 meeting.
This is Larry, I second that.
We have a motion by Ken, a second by Larry to approve the meeting minutes from January 27th, 2025. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Veronica, how do you vote?
This is Veronica, I vote aye.
Larry, how do you vote?
Larry, I vote aye.
This is Mike, I vote aye, and motion carries. We'll move to old business, variance application 50-V-23 by Woodson Property Group LLC, the west half of Lot 5 and all of Lots 6 through 14, Block 4, Highland Park, Section 9, Township 140, Range 33, Nevis Township on Lake Belle, Taine, a recreational development lake, parcels 21.40.02700 and 21.40044920. Applicants are requesting a variance from Section 904 of the Shoreland Management Ordinance to increase the impervious surface area percentage on partial 21.4002.02700 that currently exceeds the 25% of lot area threshold. Is anyone present for the Woodson group? At this time, I'll open for public comment. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. I think this one's fairly straightforward. We discussed it on part of the conditional use permit. This variance was needed as part of that. Any discussion or comments from the board?
This is Veronica speaking. The only comment that I have is that this was the situation where we needed the stormwater management plan to help mitigate some of that impervious surface that they were requesting. And since we didn't receive any documentation or information, I believe a denial would be appropriate.
Is anyone ready to make a motion?
This is Larry. I move that we deny this request and accept board finding of facts.
This-
Staff, I'm sorry.
Yep, this is Veronica. I second the motion.
We have a motion by Larry, a second by Veronica to deny the application and accept the findings of fact by the staff. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Timothy, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Veronica, how do you vote?
This is Veronica. I vote aye.
Larry, how do you vote?
This is Larry. I vote aye.
This is Mike, I vote aye. The motion's carried. The application is denied. We now move to new business variance application 1-V-25 by Hubert Michoud, part of Government Lot 6, Section 31, Township 143, Range 32, Lake Fork Township, near Cabacona Lake, a recreational development lake. Parcels 19.31.00720. Applicant is requesting a variance from sections 501.2 and 501.7 of the Shoreline Management Ordinance in Section 4 Subdivision A.1.C.2 of the subdivision ordinance to create a tract that does not comply with the minimum lot width requirements. Do we have the applicants present? If you please come forward and state your names and address for the record.
My name is Hubert Michaud, and I own the property.
And your address, please.
28295 County 37.
My name's Michael Bolin. I own the place next to him, which he wants to give me part of the lot, and my address is 28259 County 37.
Thank you. If you please describe to the board what you're asking for.
Well, let's see, the county wants 150 foot of road frontage, and at this point in time, we'd like to apply for a variance for 148.21 feet on the road. And then you require a 300 foot all the way back of that 150 or 148.21 feet, and we need a variance on that because of Michael's property line kind of comes in at that point down to about 127 feet rather than 150 or 148.21. So it'd be just a variance, the two variances.
Thank you. Comments or questions from the board?
This is Tim. Just a comment that the road does separate the property from the lake. So it's definitely a separation there.
And we can't see the lake anyway, so.
This is Ken. Parcel 1 will be under your ownership, so you will own the existing Tract B and Parcel 1.
Yes, and the parcel next to it.
And the only reason for not combining those two lots is it restricts you as to what you can put on the property.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is Veronica speaking. Just wanted to have a statement, a supporting statement that one of the two proposed lots will fully comply with the ordinance's minimum lot size requirements. And like the applicant said, that second lot is only 1.79 feet shy of the 150-foot minimum lot width requirement at that front line, and it well exceeds the 80,000 square feet. So,
With that, I'm going to open for public comment. Seeing none, close public comment. Any other discussion, questions from the board?
Yeah, this is Ken. In the staff report, it was indicated that if we approve this and gave permission for an access road or an access point to County 37 on Parcel 1, it would require any future development in Track D to have a variance in order to access 37. Do I have that right?
Huey, we're gonna write an easement up, I'm gonna have access, Huey is 150 feet to that property.
What I'm saying is, Eric, did I have that right? When, in your staff report, let me try here.
That's the last.
Oh, yeah, here. Says, one item to note is that, that this property is allowed to be subdivided, the large adjacent parcel to the south, which I assume is Tract D, which has enough room to be subdivided in multiple lots, will not be able to do so without a variance because the two tracks proposed in this variance application will cause the cap of 4 tracks in a government lot abutting one side of a public road threshold to be met. Okay, my comment was, would we be better off putting a condition that Parcel 1 cannot have access to 37? Thus, Track D in the future wouldn't be restricted for access.
Track D, I believe that's not even our property.
That's-
It's not even our Track D.
I know,
Okay.
but you're only allowed 4 along that section. You can only have 4 access points.
We've only got 2 so far.
Yeah, but if we approve this, you would be allowed to possibly have a third one.
This is the property he was talking about.
Yeah. Am I on the wrong
This-
track
this
here?
This was split.
Yes, I know.
This is the neighbors.
Yeah.
That already has a road. And it could be split up into more parcels.
But they can't, they can't have any more access.
But if they put in a road, they can't have any. So it's
Yeah.
first come, first served.
Yeah, no, except I was gonna say, since this is in common ownership, and there's 2 roads already on either side, and there's no need to have it, would we be better off just saying, no, they can't have an access to 37, and that gives more freedom to Track D in the future? I'm raising the question.
I'm going to ask Eric if he has any input on this.
Yeah, Eric speaking, I appreciate your looking ahead, Ken, but we can't do anything of that sort tonight because mainly that would involve having to have given public notice to that effect, which we didn't do.
Oh,
And as much as the intentions would be good along that line, we have no idea how that adjacent property might be developed in the future, so
okay.
the odds are whatever we might be trying to do tonight, even if we could, might not fit
Okay.
what they're.
I was just raising a question, that's all. Okay.
Other questions or comments, or is anyone ready to make a motion?
This is, Tim, I'll make a motion to approve this application and accept the staff's findings.
This is Mike, I'll second the motion. We have a motion by Timothy, a second by Mike, to approve the application and accept the staff findings of fact. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Tim, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Larry, how do you vote?
This is Larry, I vote aye.
Veronica, how do you vote?
Veronica, I vote aye.
This is Mike, I vote aye, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
With that, we will move to miscellaneous and any communications.
And the only info I have for the board is that we did not receive any applications by the deadline of 2 o'clock today for the March meeting, so there will not be a March PCBOA meeting, so you'll have a nice little break.
Okay.
So I wasn't gonna be in here
You
anyway.
won't miss a meeting.
Well, it's a meeting.
Okay, with that, do I have a motion?
This is Larry, I move to adjourn.
This is Veronica, I second.
We have a motion by Larry, a second by Veronica to adjourn. Timothy, how do you vote?
This is Tim, I vote aye.
Ken, how do you vote?
This is Ken, I vote aye.
Larry, how do you vote?
Larry, I vote aye.
Veronica, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
It's Mike, I vote aye, meeting adjourned.
Good job.